Hello, everyone. Welcome back. There's nothing like a Marvel movie to bring this collection of people together. So today we are talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the 31st film of the MCU, the third solo Ant-Man movie. That's a loose term.
Right.
So obviously you have me, Constance, and I'm joined by Natalia
Hello. Ignore this. I don't want to compromise my hair for this movie. It was good, but it was not that good. So
and Kyle.
Hello, everybody. I also just jumped out of the shower, but I kind of
See,
just
we
like did
shower
that
for
real
you
quick.
people.
yes.
Yeah, I showered just for this.
Yes.
I was going on a like 4 week streak. So, I'm just kidding. This
So I guess we could just do a quick. This is where I stand because it's funny how mixed. It's mixed leaning towards one way, but I think this is the most mixed movie to date.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
um, that's definitely where I stand. I'm definitely in the middle. So how about you two?
I'm also in the middle. I don't know if I'm leaning anywhere up or down on it. Um, I think my biggest gripe with it is probably the ending of it. Something just felt weird about it for some reason. But yeah.
Oh, I guess we should say this will be a spoiler, obviously.
Yes.
By the time I edit this and put it out, hopefully you've seen it. If you care, are you still watching Marvel movies? Let us know. So Kyle, how about you? Where do
That's
you
for the
stand?
comments.
You know what? I think I am somewhere in the middle, maybe leaning towards a little more open to it. But if I had to, I think Nat, I think would you give it like a 6.5?
6.5. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if I was like out of Rotten Tomatoes, like I'd probably give it like a 60 something. So I would say I'm in that camp as well. But there's a lot of it that I did like, and I don't think it's as bad as everybody like as the hardcore haters are saying it is.
As both of our group chats are saying.
Right. But
Yes.
again, that's to be expected from certain individuals.
We love you.
And
We
we didn't
we knew what
purposely
was coming.
keep them out. We actually want them here. We would love a
Right,
feisty
yeah.
conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, I love how that used to be the place where you could get reviews in a hurry. That's to me, that's all that was. And now it's become the thing that people go, well, it has a blah blah blah. Well, that's made up my mind. Who lets Rotten Tomatoes decide if you even give it a chance or not? I think that's really bizarre how we've gotten to this place.
I've always hated that. Like, just go see it for yourself and find out. Make your own decisions,
I think that's what a
honestly.
lot of it is too. It's like it's become popular, I think, just to criticize. I would say just like the genre in general. Um, so I don't know. I think that's why we're seeing like so much of it because that conversation just gets so, it gets so big on social media like Twitter and stuff. So I don't know how like regular audiences feel about it, but I would say that most people probably have a good time seeing it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, because I think there are good things to it.
I agree. Yeah. Um, so an example of that, when I went Thursday night with my family, and we were I love how the haters are like, I went to an empty theater and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, you did not. You're such lies. It wasn't full, but it wasn't empty. But right, you know how the lights go down,
I had a pretty empty theater.
like at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right when it was just going this kid behind me, not kid, he's a kid to me because he's like 19, but he was just like, all right, are you guys ready for Ant-Man? I've never experienced that before, so I was like, well,
For Ant-Man
someone has decided
specifically.
they're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it put me in a good, that really did something for me, so I went and going, all right, here we go. Yeah, I have my own
Yeah.
hype man. So I had fun.
Mhm,
I didn't love it, but I had fun. So
mhm.
what specifics
Yeah,
do you want to get into
I
first?
wouldn't say my theater was I would say my theater was actually pretty full, to be honest, and I saw it yesterday, on a Sunday. So, um, oh, do we have another person
Not
joining?
yet. Probably.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, and I would say, like, the general consensus, like, people were laughing, people were having a good time in the theater, nobody was being like distracting, or like it didn't seem like anybody was disinterested. So it's got that going for it.
Hannah, who will probably be showing up in a couple of minutes, um, she had a very different experience, which was a very small group of people. But yeah, she liked it. She told me every single time, as she was watching, whenever Paul Rudd would show up on screen, she was like, "Oh, I was kicking my feet and giggling the whole time." Because she loves Paul Rudd.
Have you guys seen that? Because he's been doing press for the movie. There's this one clip where he's somebody asked him to do like the movie star wink. Have you guys seen that one? And
No.
he does it perfectly. It's like the most like
So
perfect movie star wink I've ever
yes.
seen. And he just does it like that, and then he does like different variations of the wink. He's great. Paul Rudd
My
is great.
favorite thing about that video specifically is how involuntarily that girl just yelled.
Yeah, exactly. And it was
It
like
was perfect. She's like, ah!
right.
I was like,
Same.
that's what he
Same.
does.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
matter how you feel about this movie, Paul Rudd is a national treasure.
He
Let's just
is.
like nail that down right now. That
Yes.
is fact. You can't dispute it. We don't want to hear any Paul Rudd
Paul
blasphemy around
slander.
here. So
Yeah. I don't think that
He
would
was not the
be
problem.
Ant-Man would, I mean, I don't think it would be like it would, it's not the most popular Marvel franchise, but I think it would just like not work without Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Evangeline Lee was there too.
She was for a little bit, I think.
She had about 5 lines and she believed in science, which was the most acting she's ever done.
I will say I thought her like Steve Jobs glasses and like outfits were kind of cool, like
Yes, that was,
walking around
I love that shift.
like
That
a
was
boss.
very good.
She was
Yeah.
cool. She was cool in that little like opening montage. I thought that was really well done. Again,
Yes.
Paul Rudd like totally owned those scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I did like about this movie is the shift between Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. This was very much a Michelle Pfeiffer movie, and I'm so proud
Hell
of her
yeah,
for
it
that because she
was.
got about 3 or 4 lines in the last one. And this was hers, and every single time she was on there and she was being all sciencey and emotional, and I was like, yes, this is what you deserve. This is vindication. And then Michael Douglas just talked about ants, and like, good for him. But I was so proud of Michelle Pfeiffer because it's what she deserves. Because it's like, I don't know, just watching it the whole time, and then thinking about how it was in the last like 2 movies or something. I was very proud of her. I would have liked a flashback or 2 of her being a rebel.
Yeah.
Because we got to see the more emotional, like, how it came to be with her and Jonathan Majors. But I would have liked to see a bit more of a fighting stance.
Yeah, it's like because she's like, oh, we fought together for years. I've been fighting him for years, and it's like, are you just saying that, and were you just like hanging out like in the cave this whole time, and you're just saying that you've been fighting this whole time? Because I have yet to see this Michelle Pfeiffer. Even though yes, we did not. But I do agree. She was one of my favorite parts of this movie. Because of and I really loved the part. I loved her and Kang together, who we can talk about. But I love the part where she sees like what's in his mind, and then like she immediately. I thought it was like cool because immediately she goes into like hero mode. She goes into like Wasp mode, and she's like, "No, I can't let you escape. I can't let you do that," because it would be like on her shoulders if that happened. So I just thought that was cool that she like turned into a superhero right away, and she was like, "No, we have to both stay here," and like this, she stranded both of them there for years. So I thought that was a cool like hero moment.
I really like that too,
Yeah.
and I love the visual of that little globe just swirling around and just I'm a sucker for things like that. Solid, very good visuals on this movie. least in terms of the landscape. Yeah. And a surprise Chidi. I didn't know he was in it.
He was wasted. I felt
He
bad. I
really
was like, why?
was.
I was like, this is, I don't know. I was disappointed. I was disappointed in, like, to be honest, if that was probably my least favorite part of the movie, was all of the, like, the village
Ooze.
people and, like,
Drink the ooze.
that was cool, but everything else was just kind of like, why are we following these people? I don't care.
It's because it was a callback to Fulana, to the daughter, Cassie, and how
Right.
yeah, but it was.
But it really is. It's like, because the screenwriter of this movie he's like one of the Rick and Morty writers, so it's like this guy really put a Rick and Morty episode in an Ant-Man movie, and it's like, once you
Makes
think of it that
sense
way, it's
now.
like you can't
No, I
unsee
get
that.
it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest criticism, is it feels so. And even, like, even though I love Michelle Pfeiffer's scenes, I thought that a lot of her dialogue was very corny, and it was very, like, very tropey in terms, like, you don't know what I saw in there. And it was like she was saying
Explain.
all of, like, the very
Explain, Michelle
classic
Pfeiffer.
lines that everybody says when they have a big secret, and then they eventually reveal it because you all know that she's going to anyway. So again, she delivered them flawlessly. It's not her fault.
It's just the writing.
Right.
Yes, definitely. I agree. My biggest gripe is the writing, but we can get into the minutia of all that in a second. Why don't we talk about Jonathan Majors for a sec? Or a long sec, several minutes.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Go ahead, somebody.
It's funny that people like to open with that. They're like, "Oh, I hate this movie." Oh, but Jonathan Majors, people seem to be on board with him. They either think, I don't know why he was in an Ant-Man movie, or his acting was good, but his motives were stupid, something like that. But everyone seems to like Jonathan Majors, the actor. They like the casting, they like the acting, all that. And I agree, because the only thing I noticed that as we were leading up to him, there was a lot of, oh, he's looking for you. Oh, you're gonna bring him. It was a lot of that. I'm like, just say his name.
Just
He's
say
not
Kang.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
I worry that that's the movie saying, okay, we promise this is going to be just as important as Thanos. Like, the movie feels so threatened by that. And I'm like, just let this be its own thing. I am not here to compare him to Thanos, and he didn't need to be. I do think Jonathan Majors did a very good job. That the scene in the detention cell with Cassie in the one and Scott in the other,
Oh,
and he does the whole, if you don't do what I say,
scary.
I'll kill her, and then I'll make you watch it over and over. I mean, I was genuinely afraid of this man at that time, so moments like that, really, really well done. So big fan. I'm on the Jonathan Majors train. I love it.
Yes, I love Jonathan Majors. As I said in my picture when I tweeted it out when I was covering Evangeline Lilly's face, was happy Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors movie day. They absolutely, Jonathan Majors specifically, absolutely destroyed it in those very small, menacing moments. Like, those are the parts that I will be continuously be rewatching when it comes out on Disney Plus. Like, those were perfect. That was exactly what I needed. I did feel a little bit, I don't know. I felt like there was just like something missing. I think it was because we had first seen his version of, Jonathan Majors as Kang in Loki. So I think I was expecting something closer along those lines. But he in fact was one of the original. So that's a completely different thing. But it threw me off a little bit. Multiverses are very complicated. What else? I thought that he was really good. I don't know. I think he has had so much time to think about his escape and everything, and he's built it all up, and it's amazing. Big giant city, absolute, like, utopia, dystopian, and all that jazz. Built up and everything. And the one thing that he couldn't have thought of, which was actually his own escape plan, is what bites him in the ass with this. And it just, in that end, a little bit of the poor planning aspect, but outside of it, hello? But outside of that, did you hear the door? Oh,
No,
okay. It
just
was a
you.
giant slam. Just bang. But outside of that, I loved him. I thought he was great. Very menacing in very small parts, but I really, really enjoyed him in those specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a cool chair. And a
Cool
Yes.
chair, man.
Yes.
Cool
Great
chair
chair.
and cool man spreading, I guess, the way he said it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's cool. And again, like it I didn't have a problem with him at all. I thought he was great in the role. It's just his part was written very just
It's the
very out of
writing.
character, I feel, because again, yeah, like he's very menacing in the way he comes off, and he's bragging about all these Avengers he's killed, and then all these worlds and universes he's destroyed. And then he gets taken out by Antman. So and then and it's because of his own, he's wasting time, and he's I don't know, he makes decisions that you would think somebody who's been through so much would already
Not make.
anticipate. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think he was great. He was like that scene that you mentioned, it was very kind of Darth Vader vibes, which I thought was cool.
When he flicked Modoc away and then
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
everyone up and down, it was very good. I love
I
some
mean,
telekinesis.
his whole city and everything was very Star Wars. I felt it was
Mhm.
very Empire,
But blue.
but blue. Which what, I don't really mind.
Me neither. Just saying it's different. That's the color difference.
Yeah. I do hope that he eventually, because we're gonna be seeing Kang a lot more. And I did think that the end credit stuff was cool. Like I thought, I thought some of like the Pharaoh Ramatut costume looked a little
Party
Party
City.
City to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then there was like the C3PO gang, and
Yes. And
then I forget what the
Blueface with the he had a cool
Immortus
name.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Like that got me excited to see more of him, and just to see like the different versions that we're supposed to be seeing in the future. So
I like that there were fan versions of Kang in the audience of that part.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was fun. They're like, yeah, you don't deserve to be here, but
I didn't expect both end credits scenes to be
very
Kang.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
I was like, are we getting like a Young Avengers tease or no? No, we didn't.
Loki. Oh, surprise Owen Wilson, surprise Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second end credit scene with Loki, when Loki shows up, that was the only time my audience went, I mean, they laughed at the joke part, it's not that they weren't responsive, but that part made them gasp. I was shocked that I did it because they did it. It was like like, like, oh, I
Contagious.
I
heard
don't
it,
want to
so
be
now
left
I did
out.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Actually, that actually happened to me with my audience too. Like there was people right to the very right of me who gasped very loudly, and then they were like giggling like little schoolgirls when they saw him, and I was like, calm down, it's Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Have some respect.
Right. And my husband loves Loki, so he was very happy to see him. It was just like Loki.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never seen Rick and Morty, so all those references that people are
Same.
making are lost on me. But
Mhm.
I do see the Star Wars as it went on. I was like, okay, it feels like someone took Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars and made a baby, and out came this movie. Because I felt references from both of those coming out.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like I wish they kind of went a different route with it. It doesn't make sense that a bunch of aliens live it. To me, it doesn't. I don't know. It would. I felt like they could have done a lot more in the quantum realm, and all the possibilities there, and they just decided to go with a bunch of like humanoid, quote, not aliens, but they're aliens.
Yeah,
So
I
Bill
thought we were going to
Murray.
see a bunch of like germs or
yeah,
micro
I thought that would have
something.
been cool.
Yeah, that would have
Yeah,
been fun.
kind of like what we saw when Hank goes down and Ant-Man and the Wasp to rescue. I thought it was be more of that,
Yeah,
just
Mhm.
more of it.
but no.
But it had moments where it shined. The storm of probability with the multiple Scotts and the multiple hopes, that was cool.
Oh, that was
Oh yeah.
so nice.
And the
And when that
one
came
Scott
together, and
in
then they
the
were,
Baskin Robbins costume.
and then the Baskin Robbins, very important, very important.
Yeah.
I was like, is this the only other possibility when you're not Ant-Man? Is you just work at Baskin Robbins or you're Ant-Man?
Doesn't he have a degree in engineering or something like that?
Yeah, that's why he's so good at this at the thieving.
Yeah. But it's like
It's
there's
not
no
gonna work.
possibility where you could actually I know he has a criminal record, but not everyone holds that against you. Some people will say, you're so good, we're gonna hire you, give you a chance. Because you know
Get that
what?
coat
You
back
saved the
on.
universe. So we're
Yeah.
gonna let that slide.
That's
I did think that I liked his how proud he was of that book and just like you know the constant like callbacks to that. I thought that was really funny and I did like at the very end where Hank kind of admitted that he read every damn word
every damn
and
word.
I was like, oh, that's sweet
That's so
because
nice.
Scott really cared about that book and those words that he put together.
Hmm.
Yes. They were very believable. The Ant family, as everyone's calling them, I do like them as a unit. I thought that all was really, really good. Good stuff.
Individually, though.
Yeah, my gripe with the film, you guys were talking about how much you love Michelle Pfeiffer. The plot that deals with her felt out of nowhere because I'm like, wait a minute, she's freaking out because we're sending a beacon. But what was that whole thing at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp? It was okay to send Scott to get a sample or whatever it is they were doing. Obviously, the
Uh,
plot at that time was we need him stuck. Well, now the plot of this
yeah,
one is we need to get them in there. I thought what was going to happen, I thought Kang or something else was going to do something and they were going to get sucked in that way. I didn't think it was going to be on our
Cassie.
world's end.
Yeah.
I thought something would happen to them. You
right.
know, like how in Avengers, Loki's the one who opens the Tesseract and he shows up. So it's not because we did anything, it's because Loki. I thought it was going to be the same thing. So I didn't realize,
Yeah,
oh, because Cassie built a thing, now
That
they're
would
going
have
to.
been a great foil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Darren.
yeah.
since we have MODOK, which we'll talk about in a minute, and
Darren.
then did the reveal later. It should have been MODOK, like, oh, this is me. I pulled you in. They could have done,
Mhm.
because that now she looks kind of stupid. Um, if you think about the connective tissue, which Marvel has conditioned us to do, it's all like everything's important. So you catalog everything. And with every passing movie, it's harder to keep the continuity straight. So you can ignore that if you want. It's such a little thing. But I was sitting there going, wait a minute.
It's funny that you say that because it's specifically the Ant-Man trilogy that like this this timeline like the timeline of these movies like has just completely left my brain. I hardly remember anything that happened in
Same.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Or I mean I remember a lot of the first movie actually, but I wonder if
Ant-Man and the
like
Wasp was with Walton Goggins, right?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
couldn't tell you. But I wonder if Disney like knows that about them, so that's why they gave Ant-Man this whole storyline because it's like, well, nobody's gonna go back and trace and trace it back anyway. I mean, obviously a lot of
I
people
mean,
are, but I think
isn't
you know maybe general audiences. I just think it's funny because like I agree, like it feels very contrived in that way. It's like, oh, Janet was gone for 30 years, so this is what could have happened, you know. So and then they went with it, and it's like, really, that seems like kind of a stretch.
I
So
mean,
I do agree in that regard. But I did, on the other hand, I did think what they came up with was entertaining, and I think that's largely because of Jonathan Majors and Michelle Pfeiffer.
yeah, I mean, Peyton Reed himself has advertised this movie as being not like a popcorn one compared to all of the other ones, that there's a bit more emphasis on this one. And like, I agree for sure. Definitely. This one is definitely the heaviest out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
For sure more plotty, because I felt like with the others, especially Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's a skip movie for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, Constance,
Yes.
you mentioned MODOK, and because
Darren.
I have some notes on Darren. Because I was looking, to be honest, like I was probably looking most forward to MODOK in this movie. That's what I was looking most forward to. So, I wanted to give him a chance, but I was kind of like disappointed. I would have to say. Um, and it feels like, again, like even with the Janet and Kang storyline, and even here, it's like they've changed so much about the character to fit like the storyline of this specific movie, only to also kill him in the same movie. It just I just don't understand why they included him in the first place, because they could have used, I mean, just like these random miscellaneous like village people that lived in the quantum realm, they could have used something just as equally as random and like not an important part of the comics, or that has like somewhat of a fan base. So yeah, it was just like really disappointing, and I thought it was funny, like during his death scene, it's like nobody cared. No, he's like, they're like, what, a lot has happened today, and this isn't even like that important in terms, in the bigger scope of things. And I would have to agree. I was like, what,
Yeah.
I also don't care, because we never got a reason to.
Right, right. Well, clearly I've angered the MODOK gods because my video is being weird. Um, I have thoughts on MODOK too. I don't know him. Like if you held up a picture, I'd be like, oh, that's MODOK. But I don't know his stories. I don't know who. I have heard that he's not really an Ant-Man villain, I think, in the comics, right? So, but I was disappointed. The effects, oh my God. Um, I don't understand phase 4 and 5 being all like, let's bring back a random person from phase 1 or 2. Like, first, what was that guy? That guy in Iron Man 1 that they brought back. Oh, God. I meant to make
The
I
mm,
I don't know that one, but they
Sir
did.
Ben Kingsley?
no, no, no.
No,
No, they
that's
did
three.
that with Mysterio too, or at least they
Yes.
tried to make
Yes.
it look like he was.
Right. My point is, this is what I was just talking about. Like they're constantly saying the continuity is important because making sure that it was Darren Cross is like, remember Ant-Man 1, if the
Totally.
first Ant-Man movie is not important to this, then don't do that. But if it's all connected and it's all about the connectivity, then I understand why you're doing that. But then pay attention to what you did in the last movie. That's all I'm
We're
Yeah.
asking.
not gonna do that. That's too much effort. For the little movie that could, no.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like
I
you're
was not.
doing this for like this little clever payoff, which is like, okay, I guess that makes sense for what would happen to that character in the past, but then what do you do with him now? Just because he's MODOK, then
He's got little baby legs. That's
and a
it.
little baby butt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And little baby arms and a big old thing over his bald ass head. That's
Yeah.
him.
I agree with you, Kyle. He did not need to be there. Didn't enhance the story, didn't push it forward in a way that was satisfying. And none of that.
It felt weirder that it even was him because I'm just so used to MODOK having like some little bit of hair right here. And he was bald as shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
I think,
just
well, obviously
gross.
because of the previous character, but
Uh,
but like I think, oh, we have a new person
We
here.
have a Hannah.
Yay!
Hello, Hannah. I would say because I think in the Avengers video game he was bald, and I guess like people were big fans of how he was portrayed there.
Boo.
So I feel like they tried to redo that, but they like went the opposite route and made him like a comic relief character, and just very disappointing.
Oh.
Yeah. He he was a dick.
He was a
And then
dick,
he flung himself into the purple shield and then he exclaimed that he wasn't a dick, but he still was a dick.
and he died in Avenger, which I disagree with.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Hannah.
How do you feel about MODOK, Hannah?
Um, when I saw it Friday, like early afternoonish.
Spontaneously.
Yeah, very spontaneous. And so there weren't really that many people to like give reactions to. But every time he was on screen, people would just start like giggling, which I think was like the funniest thing ever, especially when we first saw him. But he's the line. Can I tell spoilers or no? What's
Yes,
Yes,
we're
this
super,
is a
we're deep.
spoiler.
We're
okay?
deep.
Okay, slay. Perfect. Okay, so I hated that little spiel where Cassie was like, "Don't be a dick," and I was like, who are you helping? You're there to helping no one. I mean, I guess she helped like his like morale, but then he died. So he was he was a
And
funny
nobody
character,
cared.
but like he didn't really give anything to the story. So
Agreed.
Yes,
A waste.
I agree.
mhm.
Hannah, what do you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it.
You said you loved it,
Okay, listen. I didn't want to give too
which
much away.
which is fine. I just want to hear why.
First of all, I think there was too much CGI, but it's very understandable why, because we were on Earth for like half the movie. I
They weren't.
love Paul Rudd,
Mhm.
so that already was like it was already up there for me. I liked little bits of comedy here and there, but I wasn't giggling. I'm sorry, I have to clock out. Um, but I liked what else did I like. I can say what I didn't like. That's
Do
easier
that,
for me.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't like Cassie. Um, I Hope was a little too annoying for me. Like every time she said something, she was just saying words to me. It was one one in ear and one out the other. Like I didn't care for her at all. I felt like she didn't really give too much to the story as much as the other past movies. Michael Douglas,
I
Michelle Pfeiffer,
disagree. I will fight you on that, but you can continue
Jonathan
talking.
Jonathan Majors was really good, out of the park, like amazing. I really like what they did with Can the Conqueror's character. He played his role really well. Um, yeah, I love Paul Rudd, so I love him. Oh, and when can I say who was there?
I already
Natalia?
talked about it, but yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, can I say the name again? I don't want to
Yes,
repeat.
Hannah, go ahead.
Okay, when Ryan, I forget
Oh
his
yeah.
last name.
Bergara.
And literally, I was the only person who gasped. I was like, no one else who knew who he was.
It was such a short, like you.
It was so
I was
short.
like, whoa, but I wasn't sure
And
if it was him because it was like so soon. I was like, whoa, show me that again.
and then when Chidi came on, I was like, but no one who knew who Chidi was. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just
Yeah.
keep this to myself. Also, in my theater, I just want to tell you this.
I told them about your theater experience too.
It was so annoying. I couldn't enjoy myself because all the time they were like, no, 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 go, 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 go. I was so annoyed. So like by the 15 minutes before the movie was over, I moved my seat over and I could tell they were talking about me. They were gonna be annoyed if I told them to shut up. They were gonna be annoyed if um if I moved, and they were, and I was gonna keep annoying myself, but I kept sitting next to them. So but I
They were,
enjoyed it.
in the end of the day, they were annoyed.
At the end of the day, they were annoying. So I give it like a 6.5.
We are
Seven-ish.
twins.
Seems to be the
Yeah.
general consensus so far.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Cassie, I did not like Cassie. I feel
Why
like
does
I would have
everybody
liked
hate
her.
Cassie so much?
Hey, here's the thing though. The actress loved her to death in the society. This, oh, this is my Hannah Michelle Pfeiffer saying words. It was her. I I felt like I would have enjoyed it if it were the first girl that we saw when we saw her again in Endgame. or whichever one that was. I don't remember. They all blur.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Um,
I don't understand why. I guess she's a bigger star.
that's it. No, that's literally the only reason. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
But for
that's
like the
literally the
5 seconds
reason.
that we saw that girl post snap, she was emoting like her life depended on it, and it
Yeah,
did. I would have loved to see her. She would, oh,
very odd.
very, and I
She
just
was
felt so
done
bad
so
for her
dirty.
because she literally found out at the exact
Yeah,
same time that we all did.
from
Like,
the
that's
announcement.
terrible.
Yeah,
That's so selfish. Like, mm,
Well,
Very
I
odd.
didn't mind Cassie. What I didn't like was her call to arms speech. I don't think it was very good.
No, that was
yes,
horrific.
I
But
agree. I
but to be
agree.
fair, she didn't know she was gonna do that. That was just thrown on her. So I think
Mm, yeah.
I'm not sure what her age is in this movie, but it felt appropriate for someone in that headspace in that moment to do it that poorly. So at least it was realistic. So, but I didn't like that. And that's really the only thing I didn't like about her contribution to this story.
yeah. I mean, I didn't think she was. She definitely wasn't like. She didn't definitely wasn't a standout in any way.
Mhm.
But I didn't think she was really did a bad job. I liked like I thought that her turning the cop car really tiny was funny.
That was fun. Yeah.
Um, I think the kind of like activist role that they gave her was again, it seems like a very typical kind of like, this is what an adult views a teenager as. Um, but again, like that is something that I wish that we did see more in this movie because we are getting like this version of Cassie. So I wish that there was more of like a Young Avengers tease, uh, if we ever get that, because these Young Avengers are getting old right before our
Older and
eyes.
older.
Yeah,
There's gonna be two purple peoples on
yeah.
Young Avengers.
I don't
We
understand why
got
her costume is purple.
we got Haley and we got Cassie. What
Yeah,
Kate Bishop. Kate
Kate
Bishop
Bishop.
and Cassie.
Mhm.
I mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
What color would her outfit have been?
I think in the comics it's red, like her
But they can't do
dad's.
that because but that would work though. That'd be such a good fantasy. Annoying. Annoying. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So what else? I didn't love the ending.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
Let's
There
talk
was
about the ending.
yeah, there was something about it. I don't know. It didn't stick.
it was clearly like reshot because I mean I'd heard this, but even like as I had heard after I'd seen the movie, but when I was watching the movie and Scott does the whole thing, we don't you don't have to win, we both just have to lose or whatever, and then he ends up trapping Kang. I thought he was either gonna go with him, which I thought would have been a cool choice, or
Mm-hmm.
or it would have just been him and Hope stuck in the quantum realm
Would have
for
been
whenever the
That's
cool.
next time we see them.
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking that would
And
happen.
I
I
think
thought
that's what they
someone would
were
stay
originally gonna
behind.
do because then randomly like another portal opens up behind them, and I was like, what? How'd they do that?
That's such a good way to
Um,
end it.
and then like
Because now we know
and
exactly
then
where to
you see them in the rest like the whole restaurant scene and everything, and everybody looks like Evangeline
very
Lilly has
different.
a totally different haircut. Like this is
Yes.
clearly like
She's
a
blonde
year
now.
later. Yeah. So that was very clearly like added to the movie. Um but again, I thought it was funny. So there is that, and again, that's just because of Paul Rudd's voiceover, and he's just so good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I actually thought Scott was gonna die, and let's say
Mhm.
he had. Let's just here's a theory.
Mhm.
Let's just want your
Sorry,
thoughts on
Hannah.
this. What I really loved was when Kang was just beating the crap out of him. I like that he was bleeding. I was like, yeah, they always show them falling down. I'm like, these people are people. They do need to get hurt. So I thought, oh, he's gonna die, and this is gonna be good because we've done a proper send off for Iron Man and
Yeah.
Cap. If we're going to move on to new characters, that means our legacy characters need to die. And so I thought this will be step one. Kang will kill him, and no one can do the whole, oh, he got defeated by Ant-Man. It's like, no, Ant-Man was the first pawn on his chessboard. So he took him out. Now he's coming for someone else. So just to be like, here comes the threat, like Kind of like how
I
Thanos killed Loki. I thought this would be
yeah.
like kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, and to be honest, I think if they went with that, that would have changed the whole conversation of this movie. Like, if that happened, then
Yes.
instead of this horrible Rotten Tomatoes score, I feel like it would have been a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I think, it raises the stakes for Kang as a character. And even like that, that would be a really good arc for Scott as a character, even in just this movie alone, because at the beginning, Cassie is like really down on, or like really disappointed because he's going on book tours or whatever. He used to be an Avenger and he saved the world, and now he's a glorified author or whatever. Um,
Look out for
so
little
I
people.
think, so if he made that sacrifice at the end of the movie, I think that would have been a nice little arc for him. But they did not do that.
Because isn't that what we want for our heroes? We want them to have a glorious death. It would be
Yeah.
he saved his family. It would give Cassie some agency so that if, let's say, a Young Avengers was coming, I could see her leading the charge going, he killed my father, so now he
Yeah,
has to
exactly.
pay.
Yes, that would have been
Perfect transition.
Yeah.
Yes. So come on,
We have to write the
Marvel.
next Marvel movie.
Come on, Marvel.
They
Let's
have
go.
We have to live.
They're just so afraid. I mean, they've killed characters, but I wish they were not afraid to kill some more. Like, casualties are going to happen. Just let it
Add
happen,
more.
especially if you can give it something really good like this. Like, don't you see how that feeds into your sequels? Come on. So I don't want Scott to die. I love Scott, but that would have been really good because everyone would, I'm a huge Ant-Man fan, and I hate that people are like, oh, Ant-Man, he's so insignificant. Well, this would really give him some gravitas. So yeah.
Gravitas. I like
Yeah,
that
he was on the front lines.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the first soldier in, that just would have been beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
He's very smart. Like, he wouldn't, because I
Well, I was
remember.
trying to decide why
Yeah.
put, like, because everyone's asking this question, why is Kang in Ant-Man's movie? Why bring him out here? My theory is because of the jumble thanks to COVID, they were like, okay, we're behind schedule. Maybe he was supposed to come out somewhere else, and they're like, we just need to get to it. Let's put him here. I worry that it was a last minute thing. But this is how you could have turned it around going, well, it is Ant-Man 3. If we're going to give all of our major characters a trilogy, it's his last movie. It's not that we don't want him to go on, but he could end the way some other characters have ended. This would be good,
Yeah.
So I just don't get it.
Agreed.
I don't get it.
What are we I was thinking about that, whether if Scott had died in this movie, and I was wondering if maybe they decided not to go that way too, because rumor has it we're supposed to be expecting some deaths in the next Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I was just wondering, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're already anticipating a lot of beloved characters to die, so they're kind of
That's a good
spacing
point.
it out a little
Because
bit.
we just had Wakanda Forever, and that dealt with death. That would have been too much death. You're right. Because of the
Right.
order of the movies, maybe.
Yeah. I think
could
if
see
he
that.
went with Kang, wherever Kang went, I think that might have been a good compromise. So it's not that he died, but he's with Kang, so he might as well have.
Right. That's how you fix it. Look at you. You're
Right.
just like, I know how to fix this. Just do this.
I know how to fix it. Hire me, Kevin Feige. I'm waiting. I'm ready.
He's right here.
Please.
He's already there. Come on.
He's right in your backyard.
I'm right here. Hi, Kevin. I can see you out the window.
Exactly. Oh, but I do not think this movie deserves the hate it's getting. It's not the best thing ever. I mean, they've made 31 of these. They're not all going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it does not deserve the hate. That's a little harsh. I don't know if people are just like, all right, it's time for their comeuppance. Let's go.
I think
What
people were
else?
kind of blowing it out of proportion, and you can't really you can't please everyone, unfortunately. But also, like, I think people are too over dramatic, and they expect way too much from Marvel, which makes sense. But sorry.
I would say this is no worse than like a lot of previous Marvel films, to be honest. But again, I think that the conversation has become so it's just become so popular to dog and to bag on Marvel.
They forced that
Because
on
they're
us
in
though.
right, but they're also in such a spot where it's like they can take it anyway, so I don't know. I like it for what it is, and I try not to be too harsh on it. Because at the end of the day, it's it is a very comedic, entertaining blockbuster movie. So I appreciated that part of it.
Anna, I have a question for you. As a Paul Rudd stan with a capital E, would you have liked to have seen Kyle's version of Ant-Man being dead? Would you think it would have made sense?
I thought he was gonna die in this movie.
Would you have liked that?
Yes.
Okay.
Not like me personally, like yes, I would love him to die, but I thought that was gonna happen in this movie because of how like not gory, but like how serious it became in the end that like he was getting like the crap beat out of him by Cran. I thought he was gonna die.
Mhm.
So yeah. But he did it.
Kill
So
Scott Lang. Kill
he lives
Scott Lang.
forever. So
Hannah, he will not live forever.
no, he's gonna live forever. Yeah.
I like his little existential crisis monologue at the end with the cake. That was fun.
Yeah, same. I think it makes him very relatable. He's like,
Mhm.
oh, no, it's fine. Ah,
All right.
Yes. So have we covered all the things we want to cover? Any other tidbits or themes or anything?
What's his face? What's his face?
Oh, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. I was thinking about
Oh,
both those white men.
I
I was
for-
thinking about Bill Murray and Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Oh wait, well we talked about Michael Douglas. I
Yeah.
did actually like the ant scene. I thought that was.
I
I
love
heard a
that.
lot of
That
people
was
didn't
so
like
fun.
it,
I love
but
that part.
to me, I know it's fiction obviously, but I think the movie made a good case, and maybe it's just it looked realistic, but I thought, to me it was believable that they had created this like super intelligent society of ants, that eventually evolved into this like very socialist like advanced society. So to me that worked. It worked,
was
and
so good.
I know it's a charged word, but yeah, to me that worked because I was like, oh yeah, these ants have been like making advancements for however long they said, so this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I liked it too.
Bill Murray.
He was good.
yes.
Blue
It was
looks good on
fun.
him.
It felt like it was trying to be the Jeff Goldblum moment of this movie, but not. It wasn't as good. It wasn't offensive to me, but if you cut it out, I wouldn't have missed it either. Like if I knew about it and then you cut it, I wouldn't be sad. So right down the middle.
Thought that it was gonna be Jonathan Majors come out of that ship because we were getting a lot of he's.
Yes.
Yeah.
That. And I was like, that would have been cool, but it also would have been a little awkward because like he seems so regal. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would show up at that little bar, but whatever. And hey, I was right, but it just, again, I felt like it was gonna be Jonathan Majors.
Bill Murray was the last person I would expect to be in a Marvel movie.
No,
Constance.
Why?
Who's Luis? Luis, Michael Pena.
Yeah, so
oh my God, our
Yeah.
distant cousin.
I like the movie.
We're not related to him.
This is
We're just
another
brown with the same
example
name.
of it's not an Ant-Man movie because we don't have him doing his version of a tale
Yes.
little thing. We don't have to have it, but I did miss it.
I did too. It felt like
What about
for
that
sure the
guy?
outlier. David Dismalchian. Apparently he was there
Yes.
in the credits.
He's
And
the
I was
whole
like,
guy.
What?
He's the ooze
You're
guy.
joking.
Yeah,
You're literally joking.
that was him. I was like, really? You know what? But somebody, you guys just, Natalia, you just said Jeff Goldblum. That is also,
That was
this
Constance.
feels very, Constance, you said Jeff Goldblum.
Right.
That's a great comparison because this feels very Thor Ragnarok, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
I
like
felt like
not
it
in a
was a
good
bit-
way.
Just
Yes.
not
It
as
was a
good.
mix.
Not
Again,
as
it
good.
feels
Yeah.
like it wants to be that, but it didn't quite get there. That's all.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You could feel them trying.
yeah,
But it
exactly.
didn't stick the landing.
Mhm.
Oh, I was so surprised. I didn't recognize that was David Asmalchan.
I knew he was in this, but I didn't know what capacity. So thank you, Kyle, because that was driving me
Yes.
crazy. I'm like, well, I didn't see him. Where was he? Well, that's why.
Of course
Right.
he did the voice gig. But there was still no Michael Pena, and that for sure was the weirdest part.
That was the weirdest part.
But
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
see how you could
Yeah.
put him in this narrative without him being like, oh, what was that guy in Eternals that was following Kiko around? He was like his press agent or
Oh, yeah, he
videographer or
was.
whatever.
Yeah, he was. Valet is what they called him.
Yeah, he would have been that
Yes.
character if they had shoved him in here. He would have
Yeah.
been just that, and I think we
Yeah.
all would have hated it. But
Mhm.
but I like Michael
Right.
Pena. I want him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm done talking about Antman.
Yeah, we don't
Well,
care
I
anymore.
think we covered everything we wanted to talk about, which was the point. We
Yeah.
Mhm.
friends coming together, going, "Hey, these are our thoughts." So those are our spoiler thoughts.
Thank
So I guess
you,
that's it for
floating
now.
Modoc Constance head.
Yes, I've angered the Modoc gods again. So, but I am here. So, all right. So I guess we'll sign off for now, and hopefully be back before the next Marvel movie because that's off a little bit. So we'll be back. We'll be back soon.
Yes.
So I guess that's it.
Everyone say bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
I am
Bye,
waving.
everybody.
We believe you're waving,
Bye.
Constance.